When I made the prediction last week that Rick and Morty would start bringing in cameos and threads of continuity, I didn't think my prayers would be answered this quickly. Air Force Wong is the newest episode of Rick and Morty, and it follows Rick, the president, and Dr. Wong as they discover that Unity has taken over Virginia. Yes, that Unity. And yes, that state. I don't know, okay. But before we get to that whole debacle, I just have to say, seriously, Rick, Funyuns, F tier. And now we wait. I'm so glad they brought her back. Unity, I mean. From the looks of it, she's got one of those Nigerian ships from the simulation episode. Another callback for the ones who are paying attention. And Unity isn't just a random cameo either. Rick is changing, and Unity is someone from his past that cares about him. It's really nice to see Rick actually behave different for an episode. He's changing into a person who accepts therapy. He accepts that he needs to change, and it's super refreshing. It's also why y'all are sleeping on Analyze Piss. Best episode of last season, hands down. This is by far one of Rick's most diluted episodes, by which I mean he's not a huge asshole for like most of the time. The Sun Religion episode doesn't really count since Rick was a robot in that one, but I did enjoy that one as well. And I think it just goes to show how much more enjoyable the show can be when Rick is being a bit more in the middle. Not nice, but just more agreeable. We even got a quick mention of Rick Prime in this episode, which is always welcome. Even though I'm having fun with these standalone fun adventures, I do hope we see more of him soon. We should at least get some kind of lead as to where we're going to be looking in the future. I'm sure the Rick Prime stuff is more difficult to write, but if the show really wants to show us a good balance, we should at least see one Rick Prime episode in this first half of the season. I think, at least. A mention of him isn't really enough. This episode not only had a great cameo from Unity, but it was also narratively satisfying throughout. The adventure starts with Virginia being taken over by Unity, then a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then the president, in a predictable douchebag move, becomes the new hive mind. The president is such an asshole in this show, and he just keeps getting worse and worse with time. He's more of an antagonist at this point. Then Rick and Dr. Wong have to convince Unity to do a full planetary takeover in order to get rid of his rogue hive mind. It's a great escalation plot, and what I mean by that is, the best episodes of Rick and Morty always start out as some small inflection point, and then they just get bigger and escalate until they're inevitably solved. Case in point, Mortyplicity, which is a great episode and I will die on that hill. The one with all of the parasites, Pickle Rick, these are all banger episodes. And I love when they're just small problems that blow into huge proportions. The only thing about this episode that is not fun to watch is all of the gross out humor because, ooh boy, this episode pushes it to the absolute limit. Air Force Wong really takes the cake for the grossest episode of Rick and Morty, and we've all seen Final Desmithation, so that is a feat. They mentioned in the behind the scenes that there's just like pencil to paper. They're not even thinking about animating all this vomit. But with the sound effects, it's ooh. The dynamic between Rick and the president has clearly developed off screen. In the behind the scenes for this episode, it's clear that Rick sees the president as someone with a lot of power, and they don't exactly know what to do with all that power. He has a lot on his plate, as they said. And it's weird seeing Rick be so chill about it. I was wondering, in the cold open and in the first scene, why Rick isn't really complaining about being brought in for menial tasks. So it is nice to see them develop a sort of friendship. Finally, I'd like to give props to the writers for striking a good balance between healthy Rick and toxic Rick. No, I'm not talking about these guys, although I wouldn't mind seeing them again too. I'm talking about Rick accepting therapy, and for the first time, we can see it start to really change his behavior. Immediately following the climax of this episode, Unity has to separate herself from at least thousands of people at once, if not more. And we can see that it physically hurts her to do that. We get a long, dramatic shot of Rick's pained expression, and we get a really just painful exchange between him and Unity.
Here, it's over. Nice job, Yoon.
I'm fine.
You want a painkiller? I'm on a few of them right now.
No, thank you.
I mean, you can hang out if you want. Come see the kids. I trust you now.
That's nice, but I don't trust you.
Fair enough.
That is, like, real. And this sequence really made me feel bad for both of them. Especially Unity. In the end, I'm impressed at what this episode was able to pull off. It evolved Rick's behavior, which many episodes aren't quick to do. They dropped a brief mention of the season's main antagonist. They brought back a sorely missed Season 2 character in a way that feels completely natural, and have fewer but ultimately better jokes.
Wow, that's great, buddy. It's going right on the fridge.
Next week is the spaghetti episode, which I think the writers feel is their strongest. It's been all over the marketing, and I'm personally hyped for it. The concept feels like a plot with tons of escalation, like they're going to be eating this spaghetti and then they get addicted to the sauce, and they're chasing that high, so they go on a multiverse-wide hunt for more sauce. That's what I'm predicting, at least. I think this clip from the trailer is probably from the same episode. So let me know what you thought of Air Force Wong. Great name, actually. A lot easier to say and remember than the other ones. Personally, it was kind of another slam dunk in my book. The gross out humor held it back a little bit, but as long as you're not like slamming those oysters or something, then it's fine. The Jarek trap definitely still edges it out, but it's pretty close. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments. My name is Candles, and I'll see you next week.